everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is MTG Ghoul Dude as we continue on our quest to dig up the past on dragons. We are going to be continuing our journey back off with Darksteel, which is something that I never thought I would. I didn't think there was any dragons in Darksteel, but guess what? There is one, and it is the Furnace Dragon, which it doesn't look like it belongs in Darksteel, but you know, it is what it is. I'm not going to question it. But it doesn't have any like of the vestiges, whatever the bits are called for the wings. It's just a on the ground dragon, I guess. But Furnace Dragon is a 5/5 for 6 generic and 3 red. That's 9 mana. But the upside is it has affinity for artifacts. And when it comes into play, if you played it from your hand, remove all artifacts from the game. So this wants to be the only thing on the board if all things are artifacts. Yeah, that's kind of rough. But we're going to move on from that, and we're going to move into 5th Dawn, where we see a lovable Furnace Whelp. Ain't that just the cutest little thing? I'm still trying to figure out how it's flying. Maybe it got thrown? At this point, that's all I can assume. But for 2 generic and 2 red, it's a 2/2 with flying. And it has, for 1 red, it gets +1/+0 to end a turn. That's it. That's it. It's just got fire breathing. Oh, I love the flavor text on this one. It says, baby dragons can't figure out humans. If they didn't want to be killed, why were they made of meat and treasure? Yep, that's so true. And now we move into one of the more interesting blocks that had dragons. Champions of Kamigawa. I think this one is Champions. I'd have to check my notes. But, moving on. We have Jugen, the Rising Star, for 3 generic and 3 green. It's a 5/5 Dragon Spirit, legendary creature, with flying, and it is when it is put into a graveyard from play, you may distribute 5 +1/+1 counters from among any number of target creatures. So, you know, if you can find a way to keep blinking this in and out, it's actually pretty good. Kaiga, the Tide Star, and I love the art on Kaiga too. I just like the art. It's just pretty cool. It's water and but for 5 generic and a blue, it's a 5/5 flying. It's a Dragon Spirit also. All of these are going to be Dragon Spirits. When it's put into a graveyard from play, gain control of target creature. Doesn't matter. You get it. They don't have it no more. Na boo boo. Kokosho, or as in my local play group, we call it Coco. Cocoho. Yeah, they're obscene. The Evening Star for 4 and 2 black. It's a 5/5 with flying, Dragon Spirit. When it dies, each opponent loses 5 life, and you gain life equal to the life lost this way. And there's a lot of people in my play group that like to try and abuse the crap out of this dragon. Poor kid. Ryusei, the Falling Star, for 5 generic and a red, it's a 5/5 with flying, and it is put into a graveyard from play. It deals 5 damage to each creature without flying. Screw you guys. And then we finally have Yosei, the Morning Star. Probably one of the most oppressive ones, because people really like to build around him and just take advantage of tapping everything down. But for 4 generic and 2 white, it's a 5/5 with flying. And whenever it's put into a graveyard from play, here's the bad part. Target player skips his or her next untap step. Tap up to 5 target permanents that player controls. Now, I'm not one to just really just get upset at something, but if you can find a way to double or triple this death trigger, one person is not going to be happy. You can expect one person to scoop at minimum if you can find a way to consistently get Yosei back and kill him and make somebody stay tapped for like 3 turns. It's an atrocity. But you know, you got to do what you got to do to win a game, I guess. And now we move into Ravnica, the City of Guilds, with the Hunted Dragon. For 3 and 2 red, it's a 6/6 with flying and haste. And it comes into play, put 3 2/2 white knight creature tokens with first strike into play under target opponent's control. But it's kind of funny because they don't have reach. But that seems kind of pointless. But then again, you know, knights chasing a dragon on horseback is also kind of pointless. So I can see where it goes. And then we move into probably the most epic part of this video. We move it into Guild Pact, where we find Niv Mizzet the Firemind. For 2 blue, and 2 red, it's a 4/4 with flying, legendary creature, dragon wizard, the man himself. Whenever you draw a card, Niv Mizzet the Firemind deals 1 damage to target creature or player, and then you can tap him to draw a card. And there are some speculations that if you turn the equation sideways, it says Niv Mizzet equals number 1. But it's also something that deals with the tapping of him deals 1 damage. Something along those lines. Let me know down in the comments below what you think the flavor text means. But while y'all are doing that, we're going to move on to Dissension. And we're going to talk about this Rakdos Pit Dragon. For 2 generic and 2 red, it's a 3/3, and it has 3 abilities. For 2 red, it gains flying until end of turn. For a single red, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn. And if it's your Hellbent, it has double strike as long as you have no cards in hand, which is Hellbent. It kind of doesn't even look like it has wings. That's pretty odd. And now we're moving into Cold Snap. It's actually kind of funny because we just got some serious snow here in Tennessee. Not about yesterday or so. No, it's been a while. I'm recording this video ahead of time. Rhymescale Dragon for 5 and 2 red. It's a 5/5 with it's snow creature dragon with flying. And you can tap 2 generic and a snow mana. Has to be a snow mana from a snow permanent. And you can tap target creature and put an ice counter on it. Creatures with ice counters on them don't untap during their controller's untap steps. Oh, turn lands into creatures again. Here we go. And now we're moving into Time Spiral, the original Time Spiral, the one they thought they could do it again. With Bogardan Hellkite, and that just looks like a hand shooting something out. I don't even see a head of a dragon. But, you know, dragons are up to personal interpretation, I guess. For 6 generic and 2 red, it's a 5/5 with flash. Oh, better watch out. When it comes into play, it deals 5 damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or players. Cool. Partic Dragon for 4 generic and 2 red. It's a 4/4 with flying, and it has fire breathing. And it also has Suspend 2 for 2 red. And when an opponent plays a spell, if Partic Dragon is suspended, that player may put a time counter on Partic Dragon. So if they play any spells, it just makes him sit in the shift longer. Just dumb. And then over here we see the scion of the Ur Dragon, not the big bad himself, but the scion of him. For Wooburg, you get a 4/4 legendary creature dragon avatar with flying. And for 2 generic mana, you can search your library for a dragon card and put it into your graveyard. If you do, it becomes a copy of that card until end of turn, and then shuffle your library. I remember back when this was like one of the hardest most hardcore dragon decks you could play in CDH. And now I don't even think there is a tribal CEDH deck that can survive. But I'd be damned if I don't try it with zombies. And I do like the homage to the Ur Dragon in the flavor text. It says, "I am the blood of the Ur Dragon, coursing through all dragonkind." It's pretty cool. Which, when you get to thinking about avatars like the Ur Dragon, a Rabo, Roar the World, those are all avatars for those creatures. Those are those living creatures, because I don't think we have a true lore-based uh avatar for like zombies or goblins. But if we do, let me know in the comments below. I'll always love learning something new. But we're gonna move on into planar chaos with some legendary dragons. Intet the Dreamer for 3 generic, a blue, a red, and a green. It's a 6/6 with flying. And whenever he deals combat, you may pay 2 and a blue. If you do, remove the top card of your library from the game face down. You may look at that card as long as it remains removed from the game. You may play that card without paying its mana cost as long as intent remains in play. Pretty neat. Oh my gosh. Ugh. So much PTSD. So the gentleman that I mentioned in my last video, my last Digging Up the Past with Dragons, he also built a new mod, the Devastator deck, and it was legit just all land destruction. Ooh, and that it hurt playing against that deck if he got going. So we always had to knock him down before he could get up. But for 3, a red, a white, and a blue, it's a 6/6 with flying. When it deals combat damage to a player, you may pay 2 and a red. If you do, destroy up to 2 target lands. It doesn't even have to be the person you attacked. You just get to say, nope, I don't like it. You can't have it. It's gone. And that's how he played. It's pretty fun, though. Oros the Avenger for 3, a white, a black, and a red. I actually love the art for this dragon. I've maybe seen it twice, including the time it took for me to get this video together. But I really like the colors of this dragon. It is a 6/6 with flying. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may pay 2 and a white. If you do, it deals 3 damage to each non-white creature. Wow. So you're playing everything but white? I mean, okay, now I got questions. Teneb the Harvester for 3, a black, a green, and a white. It's a 6/6. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may pay 2 and a black. If you do, put target creature card in a graveyard into play under your control. I'm going to get it right eventually. Does it look like he's got a little claw hand coming out of his jaw right there? I do like the art on this one too. It's not as nice as the last, as Oros, but this one's nice too. And then we have Varosh, the Hunter, for 3, a green, a blue, and a black. It's a 6/6 with flying, and it deals combat damage to a player. You may pay 2 and a green. If you do, put 6 +1/+1 counters on Varosh. You get some setup going on this one, and you can just double strike, find a way to kill him with one shot. Pretty cool. But we're going to move on to the next block, and that will be starting off with Scourge of Kerr Ridges. That looks like he's got tentacles on his head. That was kind of funny looking. He's very skinny too, though. But for 6 and 2 red, it's a 6/6 with flying, and it has 2 abilities. For 1 and a red, it deals 2 damage to each creature without flying. And for 5 and a red, it deals 6 damage to each other creature with flying. That is... Oh, that was my neck. That is actually proportionate for damage to mana, or mana to damage ratio. I kind of can't be mad at this one. This one's actually pretty cool. I think this one may be underplayed. But then we see Big Brother Tarok's Blade Wing with the shifted border. So this one's going to be hard to read for everybody. But for 2 and 3 red, it's a 4/3 with flying and haste and has grandeur. And if you're playing commander, you just disregard this. You don't even have to listen to it. You could skip to the next card. But for the sake of the video, I have to say what grandeur is. You can discard another card named Tarok's Blade Wing, and he gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is its power. Yeah, it's talking about this one. The one on the battlefield. It's oh my goodness. That makes my head hurt every time I think about grandeur and commander, because you can never do it. It's so pitiful. But we're going to move on to our last set, and that's going to be Shards of Alara. And we're going to start off with Broodmate Dragon. For 3, a black, a red, and a green. It's a 4/4 with flying. When it comes into play, Put a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying into play. Yep, I like the flavor text on this one too. He says, frozen in fear, the goblins stared upward at the circling hunter and were promptly eaten by its diving mate. So there's always more than one broodmate dragon, pretty much. And then we come across a Flame Blast dragon for 4 and 2 red. It's a 5/5 with flying. When it attacks, you may pay X and a red. If you do, it deals X damage to target creature or player. Huh. So a big mana red dragon deck. That's what I'm thinking about building now. Predator Dragon for 3 and 3 red. It's a 4/4 with flying and haste and devour 2. You may sacrifice any number of creatures. This creature comes into play with twice that many +1/+1 counters on it. Dragons make for spiteful gods. I wonder what those are. Are those goblins in the art? Very interesting. And then we move on to our last contestant on today on the Digging Up the Past episode. It is Hellkite Overlord for 4, a black, 2 red, and a green. It's an 8/8 with flying, trample, and haste. But wait, there's more. For a single red, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. You can pay that many times as you want. And for a black and a green, you can regenerate it. Oh my gosh, this just looks like it does not need to live. Ugh. But anyways, that's going to be it for today, everybody. I really appreciate everybody that watches the video. If you're watching this long, you already know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, share. But that is going to be it for me today, and I will see you guys next time in the graveyard.